My name is Edie Lott. I've been a guide since somewhere before 2010. And I hope that you guys will grow to love Ski for Light as much as I do. The first dinner that Denny and I went to, and this is my husband, Denny, right here. I'll let him introduce himself in a minute. The first banquet we went to at a Ski for Light weekend, a guy got up and he said, you guys don't know what you do for us. He says, he was a newly blind person, when the darkness starts closing in, you give us a reason for living. And I was in tears and I was hooked. So obviously I'm hooked, or I wouldn't be still putting time in right now. And I find I get far more back than what I give. So I'm going to let all of you introduce yourself. Some of our new guides are experienced guides who came here from Alaska. And I'm going to let them start. Oh, first of all, I want to let you know what we plan to do tonight is to give you a grounding in what Ski for Light is for those of you that haven't guided before, and some principles that you can take. And it's going to be a learning and a communication experience, but I think you'll all have a great time. So I'm going to let our new guides from Alaska introduce themselves first, the Andersons.
Did you want to introduce me first or wait?
Oh, I'm sorry, Vicki. First, I'm going to let Vicki. Vicki has been guide trainer for a long, long time. I've been guide coordinator and she's been guide trainer. So, and Vicki isn't going to be able to be with us due to an injury, but Vicki, that was bad of me.
That's all right.
Go ahead.
So thank you. I'm Vicki Post, and I'm totally blind, and I happen to be deaf in one ear, and I've been with Ski for Light since 2000 and skied with friends before. I love doing guide training. And I took a fall and fractured a couple of fingers. It's a little hard to hold a pole, so I won't be with you this weekend, but I'll be sharing my own particular pearls of wisdom this weekend. And every chance I get, the words you will hear me say are communication and partnership. So just expect it, because those are the two things that are the most important things to remember from this. Communication and partnership. And thank you so much, all of you, for coming, new and returning guides. And because we couldn't do it without you. So I really, really, really appreciate it. And it's also my intention that we'll have fun while we learn all kinds of stuff tonight.
Okay, I'm going to go to the Andersons now.
I'm Nancy Anderson, and this is my husband, Dwayne. And we moved from Anchorage, Alaska, a little over a year ago. We just recently retired, and we live in Reno. We, in Alaska, we volunteered, it was 26 years with an organization called Challenge Alaska. And it's an adaptive sports program for people with a variety of disabilities. And we did downhill skiing and Nordic skiing. We worked with visually impaired skiers and other skiers, anywhere from children to adults. So we do have some experience.
Yeah.
There's always an opportunity to learn. We were also fortunate when the Ski for Light, I'm not sure what you call it, international group came to Anchorage, Alaska for a week. We volunteered with the Ski for Light group then, and that was just a phenomenal experience. So we are familiar with Ski for Light. We have some friends from Alaska that are in the Colorado Ski for Light International right now, and we envy them. Looks like a lot of fun as we look at the Facebook post. That's a little bit about us.
We are very glad to have you. Cindy, I would like you to introduce yourself. Cindy is going to be one of our VIP guide trainers on Sunday.
So my condolences to you guys. So anyway, as Edie said, my name is Cindy. I'm a skier. I don't want to say I'm completely blind, but I'll just say extremely low. I am a hearing aid user. I do wear two. I've been in the group, I think the same year Vicky came. I ski and just recently I started snowshoeing. So
Okay. Brian, can you introduce yourself? I'm going by the way you appear on my screen. Brian?
Yeah, hi. Yeah, my name is Brian Hartman, and I met Edie and Denny a couple years ago, probably during COVID, I think. And I work at Royal Gorge. That's how we met. And the two of them really inspired me because they come out, even if it's the worst conditions, they'll come out and ski and it'll be freezing cold, and they make a point to go every day if they can, even if it's just shuffle out and shuffle back. So they were the ones who obviously told me about the program. I'm excited about it and looking forward to it.
Okay, and Bob Phillips, can you tell us a little about yourself?
I'll tell you a little about myself. I was referred to this by Gail, COVID woman, and
Oh.
so I have a totally blind daughter, Liz, who's 40 years old, and I've been aware of Ski for Light and some of the other programs. I was also past president of Guide Dogs for the Blind, so I've been involved professionally in the service dog industry. And I am a ski instructor at Tahoe Donner with Gail. And I know Marie, right, Marie? So I wanted to get involved this year, and but I'm not. My daughter doesn't ski, and so I'm not really terribly experienced in ski guiding, but I'm very experienced in raising a blind daughter and all of the other things that go to being with guiding, sighted guide, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, Gail.
Yes, I saw Ski for Light out at Tahoe Donner for years when I didn't live here full time. And I was so impressed. And then once I moved here full time, I knew that was something that I wanted to do. So that was about 4 years ago. So I'm not a brand new guide, but I never did have the opportunity to take this particular training. So I'm happy to be here tonight. And I can use a refresher on being out on the snow too. And hopefully I'll be able to get that even though I can't be with you this weekend.
That may be at our 3-day. And Jean, who just got back from international, Jean talked to me this morning from Wendover near the Utah. She's with us tonight. Yay.
Yay!
Yeah, I did just get back from Granby. It was just gorgeous there. It was really cool. And that's the 4th, I think, International Ski for Light I've done. And I started guiding with the Sierra Regional, I think in 2013. I think that was the year I did that, and have been doing it ever since. And I'm a retired physical education person. So I have to say, I love the challenge of teaching sport skills. You know, I mean, that's my profession basically, has been to do that. And it's really, it's an interesting challenge to do it, and it's incredibly satisfying. And I think it is I'd say it is a experience in creative redundancy in how to say, I think that's the right way to say that. And how you could, because I mean, communication is everything. And just to be able to figure out the right words that mean the right thing to the right people and say it in the right way so that it makes sense is really a challenge. And it's, and it's really fun and satisfying. And it's amazing to me that the progress that somebody can make in it. I was thinking, I just wanted to add this, you know, there's different ways, there's really different reasons people come out. I was exposed to that a lot with, 100 visually impaired skiers at the same time out in Granby. And, some people it's just an adventure when they're here. And some people think that it is it's just a great way to be outside. And there's a certain freedom to it that you can't have when you're inside. And I think the other real tremendous benefit when you're outside, and especially if you're visually impaired, is when you can really benefit from, this is my PE teacher behind me, is when you really can get a bit of a glide with what you're doing, and the freedom that comes from that it just simply feels good, and there's nothing like that feeling when you have you get pretty coordinated with what you're doing. And it's just so much fun when somebody can really do that. And I mean, their whole body smiles, it's fun. So anyway, just wanted to toss that in. I gave it a lot of thought when I was out in Granby as to really the benefits of participation, but there's nothing like the feel of being on skis and actually getting a little glide when you're doing it and just moving along really easily. And it's just feels cool.
Am I saying your name right? Marianella? Marianella? She is daughter-in-law of a longtime guide with our program. So.
Hi. Yes, my name is Marianella, and I was referred to the program by Carrie Butler. She's my mother-in-law.
Oh.
Yes, I was actually let me see. I was trying to think how it all came to be. So I've heard from Carrie for a long time. I think she's been volunteering for your group for a while. And she and I, ever since I married her son, have become good friends. And I basically like doing all the things she does. So we're good buddies. And
Nice.
yeah, so I was like, hey, it's snow season. Let's do something. And the funny thing was, like, for months I'm new to, I live in Cameron Park. I'm relatively new to the area.
Mm-hmm.
But every morning when I drive my daughter to her school in Rescue, I see the mountains with this beautiful snow on the top. And I'm like, I think my kids get tired of, I don't know, I'm in awe every time I see the mountains, and I'm like, the mountains are calling me. I gotta go.
Yay.
So I was telling Carrie, let's do something. And then she mentioned you guys, and I'm like, I've been looking for a place to volunteer. And I'm like, the two just came together perfectly. I am not I am from the tropics. I am not very experienced in the snow. I have snowshoed probably twice, just twice, but I was pretty good at it. I didn't consider it very difficult. I have never skied, but I would love to learn someday. And yeah, now that I feel I'm relatively close to Tahoe Donner, I would love to go and help out and learn more about everything. So good to be here.
We're glad you're here tonight. Unfortunately, something came up and she's not able to come up on the weekend, but we'll catch
Yes, I am.
We'll get you.
I am so bummed, really.
We'll
I'm
get
sorry.
Now I'm coming to is it Fairbairn?
Fairbairn.
Fairbairn, would you two introduce yourselves? I know you're friends of Carol Harrington.
Go ahead.
I'm Sharon Fairbairn, and this is my husband, Bill. And Carol is the one that introduced us to this. We were talking one day, and she just said, oh, you should do this. You would love it. It's something you'd be. And so that's why we're doing it.
We thought it would be a good experience. It'd be an awesome time out there. We've cross-country skied. We're from Indiana, maybe 20, 22 years. And it'd just be great to try to get people on the skis and try to help them out. And I think it's going to be awesome.
Okay, we're glad you're here. And Kathy Campbell is next on my screen, and she is our skier coordinator and a snowshoe guide. And Kathy's never had the formal class, so she's with us tonight.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So, and Carol, are you done, Kathy? I don't want to cut.
Oh, I didn't know if I should say anything. Yeah, I'm really excited to be here. I'm on my phone because I couldn't find the charger for my laptop. So darn. Anyway, I see your faces. They're coming up one at a time. It's great. So this is working. And I'm just really happy, excited about our one-day event, which is in 2 days. Yay. And all of the new people who have joined. I just feel that there's an aliveness that there's just a real vitality. And I'm just really very honored and happy to be a part of Ski for Light.
We're really glad to have you, Kathy. And there is a revitalization. Our last winter event was the week before the stay-at-home order.
Right.
And we had a very small group. So we're excited to be revitalized now with this group. And Carol Harrington is next. And Carol will be one of our trainers on Sunday. I've watched Carol train before, and you've got a very good on the snow trainer. And Carol, tell us about yourself a little bit.
Thank you, Edie. That's so sweet. So I'm Carol, and I've been in Truckee since 1989. And I used to volunteer with the adaptive alpine events at Alpine Meadows for a few years. And then I went to the dark side of cross-country skiing and discovered Ski for Light in 1995. And so non-consecutive years, but involved since 1995 with the Ski for Light events and Betsy and then Edie and just all the wonderful people and Carrie Butler and people who are no longer with us as well. So it's been really interesting growing up pretty much inside the Ski for Light family. And now all of a sudden I'm in my 50s and I'm not sure where the years went, but yeah. So in addition to Ski for Light, the visually impaired and the blind, I have 18 years of being an instructor at the U.S. Disabled Veterans Winter Sports Clinic in Colorado. So that was 15 consecutive years, then a 5-year sabbatical, then 3 years back on. And so that's been with various disabilities from sit skiing, traumatic brain injuries, visually impaired, and amputees and all. And it's a pretty amazing program. And I have to say, Ski for Light, though, it's also extraordinary. And just in the training provided, in the people, the organizational components of the event itself. And I think for the guides who have not been here in this program or new to this program, it's going to be a lot of fun. And so it'll be nice to see you all in person on the snow.
Marie, do you want to introduce you and your husband?
He's muted.
Unmute, Marie.
Yeah, I was unmuted. Yes, we're new. I learned about Ski for Light both from Gail and Edie, because Edie and I go to the same church, and we're excited to learn about the process. We love the outdoors, and opportunity to let somebody else enjoy the outdoors is, I think, a privilege. So we're grateful. Thank you.
Okay. And there's a person next to Gail and then next to Marie that says iPad, and the screen's a little dark. I don't recognize who you are, so please introduce yourself.
It's Kathy Masters.
Kathy, I'm embarrassed. I didn't recognize you.
I'm in the dark place.
Kathy is also one of our trainers.
Good.
And how long have you been around, Kathy? For a long time.
21 years.
She both skis and snowshoes. So,
Don't forget.
and my husband, Denny, would like to introduce himself and say a word or two.
Yes, I'm Denny, and I'm married to Edie, and you guys know what that means. I go downhill skiing sometimes, but I don't do downhill skiing. I just simply tell my friends that I don't need no stinking chairlift. So that's we're backcountry and cross-country skiing, and we love to do it ourselves. And I think we even more love to help other people do it that haven't done it before. So it's amazing to be married to Edie and get involved in all this stuff.
And Vicki, I'm gonna let you give us a little background on our Sierra Regional Ski for Light, and then we'll do the KCRA video. Vicki, you're on.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know the history, Ski for Light started actually in this country in 1975. It was based on a program in Norway, and a couple of Norwegians decided to do it here. And it started out as a racing organization. The first year it was called Race for Light. And then they decided to turn it into a recreational program so that more blind and visually impaired people could get out on the snow. And over the course of time, 9 regional affiliates got created, including Sierra Regional Ski for Light. So we're a spin-off of that larger event that a couple of people have referred to. That's a week long. And we started back in 1992, I think was the official start. And it was founded by Betsy Rowell, whom many of you don't know yet, but will most likely eventually meet, because everybody meets Betsy. And we've actually been skiing in the same, at Tahoe Donner in the same general area ever since. It's an all-volunteer organization, and we have, like on the board, blind and sighted people, so visually impaired and sighted people. It's kind of equal leadership, and we really focus on partnership, independence, fostering good communication, and really having a lot of fun out in the snow. And so, Edie said she gets more than she gives. Well, given how much she gives, she must get a lot back. I know for myself, even skiing with friends before, coming to Ski for Light allowed me to keep skiing and meet some really wonderful people. And I can only second what Jean said about that sense of freedom. There is something about going along and gliding along and just hollering out in the snow when most of the time I'm hanging on to a dog or a cane or a person or something or other. And there I've just got my poles that I'm just getting some direction from people. But that sense of freedom is what, and the responses from people are what kept Ski for Light going and what keep it going. So that's just the little brief that it came from Norway. The event in Norway still happens every year for a week with about 1,000 people with several different disabilities. And I got to go one year, got a silver medal in the biathlon, by golly. Yeah, that was fun. So a couple of the regionals, now there are 7, a couple of them have had to basically dissolve, and we really hope that ours will not and will continue on for a long time. So I'm going to turn it back to Edie for the video.
Great. The first video we're going to show you is just kind of a fun little video. I apologize that it was Channel 3 did it of us before they did HD video. So our other 2 videos are in HD and I've come across a little better, but it's just kind of fun to see. So let's see. I may have to share this, and then I thought it would share. I may have to share this and unshare it. Just a minute, and I'm going to unshare this and come back. Slideshow. Beginning. Stop share. Now, I thought I had done this beforehand, but I hadn't.
Technology is what it is.
So, my granddaughter and I worked hard at finding a way to integrate 3 videos into one presentation. So can you see the title?
Yes.
Yes.
Goody.
When was the last time you put your 100% trust in someone else? Some Tahoe athletes do that every time they cross-country ski. KCRA3's Deirdre Fitzpatrick reports their workout stretches the bounds of determination.
Straight ahead.
When Frank Welty skis, He never notices the scenery. He can't. But seeing may be the only thing this blind athlete can't do.
There's a lot of pressures that keep blind people from getting out and doing physical things. A lot of voices telling you, don't do this, don't touch that, you can't do this.
Straight. Now it's going to curve to the left.
Another voice tells him what he should do.
Steer left, good, straight.
R.C. Upham is Frank's guide to the great outdoors.
There's so much reward from getting out here and just skiing and being with a ski partner that probably couldn't do it without our help.
You got that freedom, and you also get in touch with that physical aspect of yourself.
The program is called Ski for Light.
I like the idea that I'm not deprived.
It helps blind athletes get a workout that stretches the imagination as much as the body.
It's not something that you do as a blind person. You don't go that fast.
Frank, would you sidestep to your left?
The guides use 20 commands to tell skiers when to turn, slow, and even fall for their own safety.
One of the most effective training tools for new guides is the blindfold. They put it on to simulate what the blind person is experiencing. Within seconds, you really feel disoriented, and you get a sense of just how unbalanced the blind skier must feel.
The most difficult thing is getting the instructions out fast enough.
Out here, even falls raise spirits.
Sure, my butt gets a little sore from that, but, you know, the bottom line is if you can do this, you can do anything.
And he does mean anything.
Are you throwing snowballs? Oh, my God!
A snowball fight between two blind guys.
It's just two folks out skiing having a good time.
A good time in the great outdoors where disabilities melt quicker than snow. In Truckee, Deirdre Fitzpatrick, KCRA3 reports.
That's great.
That was wonderful.
Even though it isn't high resolution, we thought it's still worth showing. They did.
Oh, yeah.
That warms my heart. Vicki, do you want to go a little overview of blindness before we show the sighted guide?
Sure. So in that video, Frank Welty is, Frank doesn't have any vision, does he?
I don't believe so.
I don't believe so. And Jeff, the other guy who was in the snowball fight, is also totally blind. And so, but as some of you already know, there's a lot of variety. So you can get people who are totally blind, and then you get people who are what we call high partial, so they can see quite a bit. And then you get people like Cindy, who described herself as very low partial, having little vision, but not much. There are probably as many diseases as there are people who have them. Everything from retinitis pigmentosa, yes, I can talk, to juvenile macular degeneration, which got a lot of publicity in the last Paralympics. There were a number of skiers who had it. And glaucoma and what I have, which is detached retina from getting too much oxygen. And so as you learn to get to know your skier, it's perfectly okay to ask them how much they see, because some people will have peripheral vision and no center. Other people will have no peripheral vision, but they'll have the center. Some people can see well when they're okay when they're inside, but not outside, and reverse. Some people will be a little more inconsistent, like it depends on the contrasts, the light and the dark, and how the light hits the snow or how the light hits something. And so don't be afraid to ask your skier or snowshoer how much they can see and what kind of assistance they need from you, because everybody's different. And I know even for myself, being totally blind, some days I just kind of want more help than other days. And so that's going to vary a lot. But when you all have the experience of blindfolds, it will give you a bit of an experience of not seeing at all. And we have, somewhere in our treasure trove of stuff, simulators that can mimic other diseases and what it's like for blind people. And at some point down the road, if you wanted to play with those, I'm sure we could bring them along and you could play with them. But the important thing to know is that there is a lot of variety. And so there's no way to assume you know exactly what someone will see. We have a couple of skiers who are really good who hardly need any guidance and direction at all, except that they would kind of need help staying on the trail. And then there are other people who will need quite a bit more. So don't be afraid to ask about it. But I think it's the basic thing to know is that there is a lot of variety. And so terminology, the current terminology, visually impaired, blind, different people will have different terminology. High partial, low partial, high vision, low vision. So don't even worry if you don't have all the correct terminology, but most people will be very happy to tell you about it, and it's actually really important when you're out there to talk about it ahead of time, and we'll get to that as we go along. So on that note, we're going to start looking at some guiding techniques, and we're going to start with some off the snow techniques.
Because when you meet your skiers at the cross country center, you're going to have to perhaps take them to buy lunch, assist them to where to go to buy lunch, show them where the restroom is, walk with them different places. So this video is called Sighted Guide. And
Post empty mention at floor. Post
there we go.
Hi, my name is Larissa Desaias. I'm a certified orientation and mobility specialist, which we shorten to O&M. I teach people who are blind or visually impaired how to travel safely and confidently indoors and outdoors, and I give people an opportunity to practice their new skills. The first thing I want people to know is a technique for walking with another person called Sighted Guide or Human Guide. For this video, I will call it the more traditional term Sighted Guide, although a person who is visually impaired can be an excellent guide if they are skilled travelers themselves. For this video, you are the guide, and your companion is the person who is blind or visually impaired and requesting assistance. Sighted Guide technique allows both people on the Sighted Guide team to feel comfortable, safe, and actively walking together. So, how does it work? First, don't assume someone who is blind or visually impaired needs a guide. Ask, would you like me to guide you? If the answer is yes, touch the back of your companion's hand with the back of your hand and let them follow your arm up to the elbow. They should hold on to the back of your elbow with their hand in the shape of the letter C, like they would if holding a cup. If your companion needs more support, then it's okay for them to link arms with you. You and your companion should walk almost beside each other, while you stay a half a step to a step ahead. Most of the time, you will maintain this position. You should keep your arms steady and locked comfortably by your side. Your companion should stay close to you. The Sighted Guide team should walk at a pace that is comfortable for both people. While walking, go ahead and have a conversation, using special verbal cues for guidance only when needed. If your companion is very new to vision loss, appears anxious, is using a modified grasp, or expresses curiosity about the surroundings, give them more detail about the environment and provide extra verbal cues to help anticipate obstacles. An experienced team will not need much verbal cueing and will rely more on physical cues.
Edie.
When you approach a narrow path, or need to walk through a crowd, or go through a door, bring your arm behind your back to cue your companion to line up single file. It's okay for your companion to let their hands slide down from the elbow.
What was somebody calling? Can you hear it?
The wrist to allow more room for walking. At the end of the narrow space, bring your arm back to your side to resume walking in a basic sighted guide position. When you approach a seat from the front, approach the front edge of the seat squarely. Bring your companion's legs up to the seat of the chair until their legs touch it. Most people should be able to seat themselves at this point. In special situations, when extra assistance is needed, watch to make sure the seat is clear and say something only if your companion's safety is clearly at risk. When approaching a seat at a table, approach the chair squarely from behind. Place your hand on the back of the chair and allow your companion to follow your arm down to the back of the seat. Again, most people should be able to seat themselves at this point. Remember, only if special assistance is clearly needed, give simple verbal information. When you approach a curb, stop at the top or bottom as square to the curb as possible. Allow your companion to catch up to you. Take a clear, deliberate step and, this is important, keep your guiding arm locked by your side. This gives clear information to your companion about the height of the step. Stop for a moment to allow your companion to catch up with you, then keep walking in the usual sighted guide position. Stairs are similar to a curb. Stop at the top or bottom squarely. Allow your companion to catch up with you. Make sure your companion can grab the railing if one is available. As you go up or down the stairs, stay one step ahead of your companion. Again, except in special circumstances, keep your arm locked by your side. Stop at the end of the stairs and allow your companion to catch up. Then keep walking as usual. Describe the steps if they are unusual. It's okay to mention if there are a few or many steps. Do not count the number of steps, as this is distracting and not the safest practice. About face is a great technique for tight spaces like narrow hallways or elevators. You and your companion simply face each other and initiate a sighted guide grip with the opposite hands while turning yourself 180 degrees in that small space. You initiate the grip with the touch on the back of the hand, just as before. For doorways, just as with all other sighted guide skills, the guide always goes first. You will open the door, bring your arm behind your back in a narrow passageway position, and walk through the door with your companion, who should be ready to take the door and close it behind the team. You can give verbal cues, such as, "The door opens toward us," "The door is on our left side." It's easier and safer to keep a car door closed when you approach it with your companion. Place your hand on the handle and allow them to follow your arm to the handle. At that point, your companion can open the door to the car and get in on their own. In special circumstances, more verbal assistance may be needed. Please do make sure the seat is clear. So today we showed you how to use sighted guide technique with your friend, family member, colleague, patient, student, stranger, anyone you know who is blind or visually impaired and would like to walk with you. Sighted guide technique can be used anywhere you want to go. Here are the most important things to remember. The person you are guiding should hold on to the back of the elbow like they are holding a cup. You, the guide, always go first, through doorways, up and down stairs, etc. Never grab, push, pull, or otherwise physically manipulate the person you are guiding. Thank you for taking the time to learn sighted guide or human guide techniques today. Please share this information widely. And please refer anyone you know who has experienced vision loss to a local agency that has a certified orientation and mobility specialist on staff.
Post attending with wisdom.
But you guys hear and see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was worried when
Yes.
they called my name that you couldn't. So, one of the things I noticed that they didn't talk about in there is sometimes in Tahoe Donner's Lodge, the tables are close together, and you may have to let the person you're guiding get behind you rather than stay next to you. If have them step a step behind you because there isn't room for you to be walked side by side. But Vicki, you might want to elaborate
Yeah,
on.
it's the same technique when she sort of talked about narrow spaces of if you bring your elbow behind you, then the visually impaired person will know, I have to go back. But if you say it's narrow and here there's a bunch of tables, the blind person then also knows, make sure I keep my right arm in. So that's helpful. And the other thing I've had happen is going through a door. If the door opened on the right, say on my side, I've had people take their arm and reach it across me to try to grab the door. It's like, it's kind of okay to say to the person, door's opening on the right, could you grab it? So she didn't talk about that either. So narrow spaces, but mostly again, communication, because not every visually impaired person has gone through a formal training program and will have different ways of doing things. So, but it's good to have a basic education so you kind of know where you're starting from.
Gail, did you have a question?
Yes. It's breaking up so much. I missed a lot of the video, and I just missed what was being said as well. We could all try turning our video off and just use voice, and sometimes that really helps.
Are other people breaking up or?
Okay, I'll do that. It's not for me, it's fine.
Maybe your bandwidth, Gail, where you are, but I can't turn mine off, obviously. Cindy, can you share some things that might have worked for you when people are guiding you? Since you're our other VIP person. Cindy?
Yes, ma'am.
Turn your camera back on and share. Can you share?
Oh, okay. Here I'm trying to be.
Especially Edie, if you're showing a video, if you turn your own camera off that's photographing you, it may really help.
Okay. How many people are having, who else is having trouble with the
Okay.
Nobody else seems to be having trouble. It may be your bandwidth where you are too, Gail.
Oh, no one else is having trouble?
No.
No.
And you're freezing a little when you're talking, so I think it's your.
Oh, okay. I don't usually have trouble. I'll go to another room. I thought everyone was having trouble.
Cindy, can you share any things that have helped you when people are guiding you?
Vicki said, basically hit the nail on the head, but what I want to say or stress the word relax. Don't get so overwhelmed. Oh my God, don't get overwhelmed by what you might have said, should have said. Relax, we don't bite. This is not our first rodeo, okay?
You might not bite. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, if we're at the top of a bunch of stairs and you say, oh, I forgot to tell you step down and I fall down, that's a different story. But my main word is relax. You'll learn at each person what they need or don't need. So there you go.
Carol, you're one of our more experienced guides. Do you have anything you'd want to share that didn't show in the video or hints for people guiding people around the lawn?
I noticed a couple of things, but other people have already pointed the same things out. So I think overall it's a great improvement from the 1970s video of times past.
We found this one a few years ago. The other one was pretty bad.
Yeah, it was. The other thing I want to add is you won't encounter this Saturday, but if you are, say, at the hotel during the 3-day and your skier or snowshoer has a guide dog, that will be a different kind of guiding. They'll be with the dog. And again, ask what they need because some people like to follow, other people don't. Other people say they don't need any other assistance. But like, just know it'll be different if your person happens to have a dog at the hotel. The dogs won't be at the resort, so you will be doing the guiding at the resort. But just know that could come up down the road.
You know, I did want to add something actually. Is one thing they didn't go over is if your participant needs to go to the restroom and how do you orientate them to that is of course, the door opening and in what direction. It's generally in for restrooms, but you don't want to just stand right outside the stall. And maybe Cindy or Vicky can speak into that too, but is, once you've got them, to the stall, is you could step outside, you orientate them where the sink is and what side the dispensers are on and the paper towels, and then, or come back in like 2 minutes or something to see if they're ready to exit. But Vicky or Cindy, do you want to speak into that?
Yeah, I'm stressing the one room bathroom. When you go in, everything's there. Just say, okay, toilet far right, sink far left, because sometimes I hate to admit I've gone into the big one rooms and I thought, oh my God, am I going to have to yell for help? Oh my God. So just say toilet here, sink there, and where's the door once you're on the toilet.
You mean that if I'm guiding a girl, that I get to go in a girl's bathroom?
I was just gonna speak to that, Denny. I knew you'd say that.
Oh, you haven't lived. Yeah.
If your person is of the opposite sex, most of the time, if you get them to the door, you can say it's a single room, or there are a bunch of stalls in there, and sometimes they can go in with another guide, or there are blind people who will also just say, okay, I'll go in and figure it out, it's fine. So just ask them what they need, basically.
Yeah, I have noticed that some of the people I've guided and know through C4Light have much more sense of their surroundings, even when they haven't been there a lot, than others. Everybody is really different. And you may get a young person that's kind of scared. It's a new place and they may need more guiding. And then we have like a couple high partial vision people coming to Saturday's day trip. And we have a few on the 3-day, and they aren't going to need any guiding probably, but you might want to check with them. But I know that a couple of ours actually end up guiding other VIPs. So it is communication, as you said, Vicky, is
partnership.
Edie, in one of the videos, will they talk about how to orientate someone's plate of food or menu reading to order food? Is that something that's coming up?
No, because the next one that's coming up is C4Light's International's training video. So you want to talk about that for a minute, Carol, before we get to the actual training on skis?
Sure, yeah. So C4Light always has great goodie bags, but usually participants will order. Oh, am I muted? No, I'm not muted. We'll order food at the cafe, and you could start out to save your breath. Is start out. You may want to find out if they're vegetarians or what they're in the mood for. Would it be a soup or a sandwich? And then you can read through some of the selections that might be on the menu, and then you go with them through the line and help set up the drink and take the plate, and then and guide to the checkout, to the registers. And when it comes to the actual plate of food, once you're seated, using those other guide techniques, and you're actually seated, you can, Edie, are people still using the clock where, oh, okay, your drink's at 2:00, you're using a clock that you're facing in? Okay, so your drink is at 2:00 and your fork is to the left of your plate, or say if there's different items on the plate, you could say, the broccoli's at 4:00, and your meets at 8 a.m., 8 o'clock. And so that way, you can also ask them, they may just tell you to your participant, if they want you to help them chop up something in advance. And it's just like, Vicki and Cindy are saying, it's just about communication and asking. It's not embarrassing. It's just, your information gathering so you can better assist and not hopefully overstep, but, they're all gracious. Did you want to add into that, Cindy or Vicki?
No, again, some people will want more information, some people less, but that you'll find out.
And possibly what they're eating, if they're just having a
Sandwich, right.
drink or that. Because now dinners, we do have 2 dinners at the 3-day where more of this would be, people will need help, and all of you guys, guides are invited to the dinners. I really hope that you will take advantage and come to at least one of our dinners there at the Glenshire Clubhouse, because that's where I really got hooked, was my first meal, getting to know people on a 3-day. So
And you could find out how crazy we all really are.
but at any rate, that what Carol's talking about vegetables and things, more than you will at the ski area, because usually lunch is more simple. But I think we're kind of getting to the point where seeing this actual Ski for Life video, Vicki.
So I just want to say before we go in, we're giving you a lot of information. There's no quiz at the end. Just allow it to kind of trickle in, because you'll get repeats when you're out there. It'll come clearer and quicker when you're actually getting the experience. But this is so that you'll be kind of familiar with it. And if you need to stand up for a second and shake yourself out, don't hesitate to do that. So you stay awake.
Videos are long in the evening, so
Mm-hmm.
the video that we're about to show was done a few years ago by Ski for Light International. The manual that I sent to you as a PDF was also done by them. They were very kind in letting us use their training materials because they have more money and ability to create these things. So this video is from Ski for Light International, and it actually talks about how you'll guide on skiing. Here we go again.
Welcome to the Ski for Light Guide Training Program. This video illustrates some essential skills and commands detailed in the SFL Guide Handbook. It's meant to be a companion piece, not a replacement, so yes, you still have to read the book. It's available as a PDF on our website, sfl.org, and in other formats by request. The handbook, this video, your on-snow training, all will prepare you for a safe and exciting week guiding a skier who is visually impaired. Now let's get started. The progression of instruction outlined in the handbook begins with an introduction to equipment, apparel, and snow. We then move on to stationary/stepping skills. The goal is for the skier to master each series to the left and right, with and without poles. Balance on one ski, sidestepping with skis perfectly parallel, side step lunge from narrow to wide stance, turn around tips, snowplow position, turn around tails, herringbone position. Now let's break down some other foundational skills with help from a few more veteran SFL skiers and guides. Emergency quick stop. The most important word in the SFL vocabulary is sit. This command is used when you and your skier encounter a situation that requires an immediate stop. Maybe another skier is down in the tracks, your skier is headed for danger, or you and your skier get separated. Sit is a command, not a suggestion. It should be issued with authority and promptly obeyed. The best time to practice the emergency quick stop is, of course, before an emergency takes place. Talk it over with your skier first thing and do a few dry runs.
Diagonal stride. Diagonal stride is a complex athletic skill involving the whole body in coordination. Doing it well requires the skier to lean out over the skis, not bending at the waist, a common tendency, maintaining balance while shifting one's weight from leg to leg. It takes most skiers a lot of time and practice to get the glide, but once they do, they will enjoy skiing a great deal more. Many beginning skiers have a tendency to shuffle like this, basically walking on skis with poles used more for stability than propulsion. This is a perfectly fine way to get around the trail, but when your skier is ready to kick it up a notch, here are some suggestions. Ski without poles. Glide drill without poles. Coach your skier to take 2 quick shuffle steps, then a long gliding step on alternating legs. Quick, quick glide, quick, quick glide. Pole holding drill. Take off your own skis and stand behind your skier. Grasp the bottoms of her poles and practice the saw and bob motion in tandem, flexing knees and swinging arms in a slow rhythm to get the feel of it. Downhill. Truly, one of the great joys of cross-country skiing is zipping down a hill with gravity doing all the work. But it's a fine line between exhilarating and terrifying, especially for someone who can't see. Start small, progress slowly, and stay close to your skier. Here's a look at the progression of downhill skills. Master each one on easy terrain before moving on. Straight downhill glide in tracks. Soften the knees, relax the upper body, nose forward, and ride it out. Half snowplow. If a hill is too steep for a straight downhill glide, but well tracked and not so steep as to require a full snowplow, the half snowplow may be just the thing to control speed and remain upright. For this reason, make it a priority to help your skier develop the balance and confidence needed to lift one ski out of the tracks, feel stable on the other leg with a slight flex in the knee, work the half plow, and then smoothly return that ski back into the track. Full snowplow. To teach the basic snowplow position, a combination of words and physical demo works well. Explain the body's position from head to skis and how the wedge or pizza slice works to control speed. Practice getting into the position on flat snow first, then on a very slight downhill with a long run out, safely away from other skiers. Until your skier is confident on a particular hill, sidestepping or even removing skis and walking down or up the hill is always an option. Uphill. What goes down must also go up. Methods for gaining elevation include straight uphill climb, shorter, bouncier steps to prevent sliding back. Half herringbone, with one ski angled out and edged in, acting as a brake or paddle, the other ski remaining in track to stay on course. Full herringbone, with both skis angled out in a V and edged into the hill. Only one arm or leg moves at a time, so the skier maintains 3 points of contact with the snow. Make sure your skier understands the importance of edging the skis into the hill. A flat ski will slide, and is maintaining the correct pole position, with points in and angled back rather than winged out. Double pole. The double pole technique can be an extremely efficient way to gain speed and rest the leg muscles. Level or slightly declining terrain is ideal. Notice the skier's flexed body position as the core muscles engage, and poles are used to propel the skier down the tracks. Refer to the handbook for more detailed instructions, and go for the burn. Lane changing and passing. When you and your skier want to pass another pair, the blind skier must move into the guide's tracks before making the pass. This involves many previously learned skills and generally requires a lot of practice. Notice how the skier angles across the snow, skiing into the guide's tracks slightly ahead of the guide. When the pass is safely accomplished and you're well ahead of the slower pair, the skier moves back into his own tracks. Remember, there are different rules of the road when passing a mobility impaired skier, also detailed in the handbook. Completing the guide training program is your first step in becoming a safe and proficient guide. You'll continue to learn from blind skiers, other guides, and simple experience. Be safe, be an active listener, be open to new ideas, and be sure to share your experiences with other guides, your guide trainers, and the rest of us in the Ski for Light community. If you and your skier get stuck on any skills, ask for help. And when you return for future Ski for Lights, as we trust you will, remember that these resources will still be here to guide you. Thanks for being here and enjoy the journey. Ski for Light, Inc.
Window, post attending room.
Now, you aren't going to remember all those things, and some of you may be guiding somebody that has some experience and won't need to do all those things. So and I am going to post the recording of this Zoom meeting, but I can also send you guys links to the videos if you want to watch either of those videos over again. So, Vicki, you want to share some things about this?
First of all, I want to say to new guides, you will most likely not be paired with a beginner right away. If we can help it. Some of you, we might take advantage of your knowledge, but for the most part, we try to start you off with someone who is more experienced, or have you shadow a bit, depending on what you want. And what I think is a couple of things I want to say, and I want to say for you snowshoe guides, some of the vocabulary that you have to learn as a ski guide and the technical skills won't apply to you, but some of them do. So there are a lot of, I'm sure they're in your book, there are a lot of vocabulary words that are good to remember and keep in mind, like tips left, tails left, and make sure your skier knows, oh, those are the tips, those are the tails. So if you say tails left, you know what that means. I remember the first time somebody said to me tails left, and I was still learning to ski, and I'm like, wait, how the heck do I do that? And I remember getting all tangled up. It was really funny. Some skiers like the clock. Like if you need to make a slight left turn, okay, go to 11 o'clock, go to 10 o'clock. Other people like degrees, 5 or 10 degrees to the left or 90 degrees left. And so all of the terminology, side step left, side step right, there's track left, there's one track left. One track left means that if you say to your skier one track left, it means that their left foot is in the right track and they need to move over one track. If you say track left, you're going all the way over, like the skier would be going into the guide track to pass. The other thing that we always did is said track, so the people that you were passing knew you were coming behind them. So you want to make sure. The other thing is that if you're discussing something, if you're discussing technique, you're discussing something and you're in the middle of the trail, move over to the side while you discuss it. Because they're often, if there's another team coming behind you, they may or may not have great control. So it whipped by those terms pretty fast, but you might want to just chat with your skier before you take off. Okay, are you familiar with herringbone? Are you familiar with half herringbone? One time I was at Ski for Light, and in fact I was in Alaska, and I had a new guide, and we were going up a hill, and I was herringboning. It was icy, so I really had to herringbone. Well, he forgot to tell me at the top that it was just going to go up and straight down. I was still in my herringbone, so you can imagine what happened. And I just sort of sat there on my butt and said, and the lesson is, he got it. So as you're skiing, one of the things that and RC mentioned this in the first video you saw, the trick is getting the words out your mouth fast enough. So it's the brain that has to go, I gotta tell them to do this, and then the mouth has to go, go left, go right, whatever you do. So if you get your left and right mixed up, that's when sit's really good. Sit, stop, I don't know, wait, where the heck am I? So that sit command is your friend. If you're snowshoeing, you're not going quite as fast. So it's easier to say, stop, no, I meant the other way. But you still have to pay attention to that coordination. It goes through your brain, it comes out your mouth. And you're looking at your skis, your snowshoes, and then you're looking at your visually impaired person's skis and or snowshoes. So expect that you have to build up a little stamina to do that. In terms of vocabulary, you'll get good at it as you do. And again, if you get skiers who are new, they're not going to know all the vocabulary, so you'll have to teach it to them. So a lot of communication, how much guidance do you want? How much verbiage do you want? Make sure they know what sidestep means, or kick turn, or the half plow, and feel free to try things. Practice, I like the idea of going out and practicing different techniques before you take off. Say, all right, let's do a herringbone position. Let's practice a kick turn. Let's go over here and do a little snowplow. Just so that you know how you work together. And pay attention especially if you're going down a hill, you have to project. So it doesn't mean you don't want to yell, because if you just go, hi, go left, they're going to think something's wrong, and that's when the sit command comes in. But you do have to project, especially if it's windy. In the Tahoe Donner, it can get windy and it's hard to hear. So if you go faster, you have to be quick at your terms, and project out to make sure the skier hears you. If your skier goes faster than you can ask them to slow down. So the other thing I really want to say is, as you're getting used to all of the vocabulary, which you have in your book and practice, and you'll practice in the training, but it is about their safety and comfort and their fun. It is also about your comfort level and safety and fun. So we do our best to match you, with people who are similar, but we can't always. And so sometimes you may have to slow down for your skier. Sometimes the skier may have to slow down for you. Do not be afraid to say something if you are uncomfortable, because the idea is about having both of you comfortable.
And there may be times when we may have to switch guides. Now, we have absolutely no leeway. We can maybe trade, but we have no extra guides on Saturday. It was between Gail getting COVID and a couple of other guides aren't able to come. We're really tight. But when we have a few extra guides, we can sometimes change guides if it doesn't work. You don't ever want to be trying to guide somebody on a hill that's steep enough that you feel like you have to watch your own skiing constantly. You want to always ski a little better than the person you're guiding.
I have something to say too.
Oh, Denny has something he wants to contribute.
Mm-hmm. I didn't see in any of the videos what happens after they fall down. How do you get them to get back up again? Are there any techniques? The first thing that I would do, I'd fall down myself. What do I do in order to get up? Where do I put my right ski? How do I turn over? Fall down yourself. Do it on purpose, and then see how you get up and see what's the best. That may be the best for them too. And I guess the other thing, a lot of people in a situation like that, a lot of guys would want to sit down and help somebody get up. It's kind of teaching somebody a new technique. Don't do it for them. Talk to them and have them do it. Don't reach down and grab their arm and try to pull them up. See what you can do with communication in order to get them to help themselves. and especially on a brand new skier, that's pretty important. They need to learn that too, because you and they will fall down sometime.
Good point, Jenny.
Yeah.
One of the really important things that we should do, and they did not mention it in the Ski for Light video, and whether you're snowshoeing or skiing, is interviewing the person that you're going to guide. Unless you have guided together I mean, we have people that maybe guided somebody 10 times, and they interview as mostly, are there any changes in your health or anything? I'm going to ask Denny to do a little role playing with interviewing Cindy. So Cindy, you have your, you're not muted or anything. Denny's going to interview you as if he was going to guide you skiing just now. We're going to do a little role playing.
Okay.
So,
Hi, Cindy. My name is Denny. Now you recognize my voice, so we're gonna have some fun today. Now, tell me, are there what type of blindness do you have? Are you high partial, low partial? Can you see anything at all? Can you tell me about that?
I'm a low partial, and when I'm outside, it's really hard to see because of the light and glare.
Okay, thank you for that. Do you have any other afflictions besides you losing your sight that might help, like a hearing loss, or
I do. So, and it doesn't matter which side you're on, my right or left, they're both equally bad. So there you go.
Okay, I may be speaking up a little bit then to get you. You'll know from the tone of my voice probably whether it's I'm pretty excited or not, especially when I say sit. So we've already practiced that. So you'll know that it's pretty important if I say that we're in a tough situation. Is there anything else you want to tell me about some of your abilities? Have you been skiing before, Cindy, by the way?
I have been skiing forever and ever and a day. I can do it all. So we can go to Euro Valley after we do lunch.
Oh my goodness. Can I keep up with you? Yes, I'm sure I can. All right,
Okay.
I'm gonna show you a few things when we get out here on the snow. Things kind of the commands. I'm just going to go over them to make sure that I have skied with you before. I've guided you before, but I want to make sure I'm not forgetting something. So let's go right up on the snow here and help you put your skis on.
Okay.
good job, Denny. And that is something that your skier, you know, that the ski bindings with the bars, whether we have Solomon or NNN, you've got to have the snow free, and to find those bars, unless you're a high partial or you have really good feel, the skier is going to probably need assistance getting skis on, and snowshoers may need assistance getting snowshoes on and snug too. So doing that out on the snow is the first thing. And Carol, do you want to talk a little bit about that, about getting?
Make sure you put their skis on first. Don't put yours on and then try to help them.
That's good, Danny. Yeah, you may fall down trying to put the. Carol, what is your experience with putting skis, helping skiers with the skis? You're muted.
You're muted, Carol. You're muted, Carol.
Muted. Unmute. She's still muted. I don't think Carol knows she's muted. Kathy Masters, you want to talk about that, about helping people get
Can you
skis
unmute
on?
her?
I should be able to.
There we go. Sorry about that. I disappeared. This is Carol. Before we go to putting on skis, there was a couple of things I wanted to mention. One thing that wasn't mentioned in the video is something that I prefer to do is before doing a descent is actually stop and explain the terrain before we go down it. And it could be like, okay, it's going to be a little steeper pitch off the top. We're going to start in a snowplow, but about, say, 20 feet down, we may start to straighten out our skis because there's no turns, and it's just going to be a nice straight run that's going to end up coming back up. So if you like a little bit of speed, this is a great place to do it. Or it might have a left-handed turn or a right-handed turn. Another thing I might describe too, whether it's on flats, ascending or descending, is that transition. So if, we're getting into these warmer days right now, but freezing temperatures. And so if you have a light change, if it's going to be in shadows or in sunshine, is to prepare them for that change of how it grabs the skis if you're transitioning from a shady pocket to a sunnier spot where it's going to grab them and slow them down so that they can be prepared with their bodies a little bit more forward. So that was the one thing I wanted to mention on hills is describing it to them before you go down. Another thing is aside from, say, if there is a hearing impairment, is if you have an experienced skier, is asking them if they have a preference, what side they like their guide on. Oftentimes, sometimes a participant won't care. Sometimes they'll say, yeah, I'd love it if you're on my left. And so that's just one of the other questions to ask of your skier. Another thing was that is voice modulation, and it's a trust building experiment and trust building sessions. Especially if you're a repeat, you get to know your skiers and you have a lot of fun for sure. But is keeping few words as possible, but also modulation. So if you can see something up ahead, rather than it be like a stressful situation where you're raising your voice, is you want them to have your participant to have the greatest confidence in you, and you're reading terrain, you're reading what's ahead, and you can generally circumvent a situation without feeling stressed. And it's just a matter, confidence in your own skills, in your own descending skills, is to make those calls in advance. Just like when we're biking or when we're skiing, we're looking ahead of us to anticipate how we're going to adjust our bodies. You're essentially watching and thinking for two people on the snow. And so to be able to anticipate what's coming up and then communicate it, few words and a modulated voice to create confidence. And then you ask about stepping into the boots. I generally pretty much always have to assist. I may line up. You always ask before you touch their bodies, and you can say, "Hey, can you unweighting?" is one of the terms. Is can you unweight your right foot? Can I go ahead and touch your ankle? And is having them relax it and not try to guide you, but you guiding their foot into the first place. And unless you want your fingers pinched, you always want to just say, let me orientate your boot to your ski, but don't put any pressure on it until I tell you, because otherwise you'll get your fingers pinched. And it's usually tipping the boot upward, and so that the toe just clicks in at the toe. And I think another important thing too is to make sure that when they're going to click their boot into the binding is that their center of gravity, that they're balanced, and they're lined up. If their ski is, say they're trying to get into the the boot into the right ski, and it's slightly forward of them, they're going to have a lot more, more challenging time trying to get that downward pressure of the toe clicking into the ski, into the binding. So making sure that that's directly underneath their body so they have better balance as they go to put pressure on the downward ski.
Yeah.
I'd like to add something to that two things. One of the other things to watch is if you're going around and one track is great and one track's messy for a short period, you can say, follow the left track, unweight the right, and you'll go around it in a second and it'll get good again. So that's something to watch for. I know for me, I really prefer getting into my own skis unless I have a problem. And so one of the things that my friends did with me is first had me actually put my boots in the ski, put myself in the skis, actually on dry land before we even went out in the snow. So I got familiar with the angle. And then sometimes it's tricky when you have gloves on. And again, that's going to be one of those situations where you talk to your skier or your snowshoer. Some people will want more help than others. I always seem to need more help with snowshoes than I do with skis. Some of them can be so complicated. And there was one year we were snowshoeing, and one snowshoer didn't get his snowshoe very tight, and he actually lost it. He came out of his snowshoe. For some reason, his guide didn't notice, and he didn't notice until about a half an hour later. And it took quite a while to find the shoe, to find the snowshoe. So, yeah, so that's important to make sure that those are on well. But the more independence people can have, even with carrying their own equipment, getting the snow off, doing as much as they can for themselves, that's what you want to foster. And if you give a little help, that's great. It's just like you would give each other a little help. You know, and some days it's like, oh man, that was a lousy fall and I lost this ski and I feel stupid. Can you just help me for a second? You know, that kind of thing. So again, communication and partnership. If you forget everything else that you learned tonight, communication and partnership, and just be real with each other.
And I think another thing is realizing just like we're different in other ways, the differences that I guided one young, very athletic girl who'd never been on skis several years ago from Lighthouse for the Blind. We're going to have some of that group up this time. And she, by the end of the day, was skiing where she had to snowplow and very quickly picked it up and wasn't falling. And we have another person who's come to some of our events who has yet to glide even on the flat, who's still doing baby steps after several years of skiing. It's just the coordination and everything is very difficult for her. And maybe it's time for her to go to, we always want people to try skiing, but sometimes some people, because of different physical issues, are better off with snowshoeing at one point or another. But realizing that people are very different, that everybody learns to ski, both blind and sighted, at different rates. And so don't feel like a failure if your skier is still doing baby steps at the end of the first day and is afraid to glide. It may take a while. So respecting differences, I think, is important. Whether you're blind or sighted, we're all different.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So what are the most important things about guiding?
Communication.
Amen. Yes.
Partnership.
Any questions? This is a lot of information to take in.
On Zoom and a lot of information.
Yeah. Yeah. Any questions?
Nobody?
You're quiet.
I just would like to say that, once we're actually on the snow, a lot of it will just come together. So it's a lot of information that's being shared right now. But once we're on the snow and actually going through, the training on snow, you'll have a lot of opportunity to work, to practice these items, and I think a lot of it will come naturally as well.
Jean, there was one thing you taught me. I've been kind of learning to ski over again. I've had problems with my knees, arthritis with my knees, and had trouble snow plowing, and then had a bad fall last year and actually had a compression fracture on my spine and was in pain for a long time. I was really scared to get back on the snow this year. And Jean talked to me about making sure your butt is over your boots. And the guy that runs Royal Gorge, Dave, said the same thing, that when you bend, you don't want to bend over too far, but if you bend your knees to the point, Jean, you explain that, because you really helped me, because I feel like I'm a beginner learning all over again now. And it's
well, and if you've ever been in a lifted weights, for example, or done squats or whatever along those lines, they always are expressing to you that your your butt, your seat is over your heels, your feet, your whole foot. Your foot's really important when you're skiing. And once you get to being able to shift your weight from, I mean, where your balance is just so important. And where you unbalance is important, and how you turn your body, you know, what you do with your hips and all of that. But you always, if you're going to have good balance, you've got to have your weight over whatever's on the ground. If it's 1 foot, then your weight's got to be centered over that. If it's both feet are on the ground, then your weight's in the middle someplace. And if you lean forward, your weight, your center of mass actually is outside of where your hips are. And that's why you fall forward so often. So you have to feel that. You have to feel where your weight is and, you know, experiment a little. And when you're swinging your arms and skating along, or striding along without using your poles, and you turn your hips a little bit each time, what that's doing, it's allowing your weight to come over that support foot and then over the other foot. But you want to be kind of light on your feet. It's different than downhill skiing where you smack your ski into the ground to slide it across. And you want to be light. You know, it's a dance when you're out there. and relaxed. And the new skis are the skis you guys will rent, for example. They're real light. They're easy to move. You can pick them up. And, you know, the first thing I do with the new skier is have them just move around their feet and figure out where everything is, figure out where their balance is, move from foot to foot and feel where their balance is. But our tendency is always to lean forward, and it's really got to be to drop your seat down. I'll tell you, I used to teach a weight training class for our football team at American River College, and I couldn't get them to get the right position. And I said, okay, you guys, imagine you're sitting on the toilet. That's the position you need to be in. Drop your seat down, not forward, but down a little bit. That doesn't mean
Talk about toilets, I think.
Anyway, I have to tell you, I got kidded about that for probably 20 years afterwards, but it was pretty effective. And it's not that dissimilar. But anyway, yeah. And, you know, I'd been watching Edie skiing, and it was pretty obvious she was leaning too far forward instead of dropping down a little, keeping her seat in the right position.
I haven't fallen since you told me that, Jean. So
there you go.
Cool. Oh, good. And by the way, I have to say, I think this was a really good training session.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was. Really
I want to encourage all of you: do not be afraid of making a mistake. We're not going to start you out in a situation where you're going to be on the biggest, fattest hill and put your life at risk with a new skier. But don't be afraid of a little mistake, because A, that's how you learn. B, you're going to get skiers. I had one guy who finally he said to me, every time you do something with your pole that hits my pole, you're buying me a beer. Okay. And sometimes you'll tell a skier left and they'll accidentally go right, or they won't react fast enough. So none of us we're not getting together to be professionals. We don't expect you to be perfect.
Sometimes when you tell them left and they go the wrong way, you say, no, the other left.
Yeah. So really have fun.
Yeah.
Really have fun.
Yeah, I was going to say one other thing is that I think it's really important that you listen to your skiers, and just listen to them, ask them questions and listen to them, and, what they perceive they're doing and how they're doing it. And you can learn an awful lot by doing that, it's pretty interesting to do that. Kind of makes them into the here and now of their skiing event.
Yeah. And also in the interview, if there's something you need your skier to know, like I'm going to need to stop a couple of times and munch a little something, or whatever it is your skier needs to know about you, that the pre-ski interview would be the time to do that. I mean, I always ask my guides, okay, your turn. What should I know about you? But not every skier will do that.
And I've noticed that there are some skiers and snowshoers who want to know about everything in the terrain. I guided one gal that wanted to feel the icicles that were hanging on the stop and feel icicles that were hanging on an evergreen tree and different things. And other skiers just want to get out and ski. So you can kind of find that in your interview and as you get to know them better. How much do you want me to talk, or do you want me to only say things that are necessary? I really like to tell the skier when we're going around and there is a good track when it's going to curve to the left or the right so that they can feel it. We're going to make a curve to the left. And another thing that they didn't mention there is, and at Tahoe Donner, it happens a lot, like even on the Meadow Trail, to count down or talk about the track ending soon, and you're going to have to cross an intersection to another track. And I've often used track ending 10-9 and count backwards to the end of the track. There's probably other ways to do it too, but it is nice that they know if they're gliding along that they're getting to the end of a track and you're going to have to guide them across the intersection to the new set of tracks. And that wasn't meant, Ski for Light video didn't mention that at all, but
Oh, I know. I was going to say something else that I learned at the Ski for Light this last year. We had a visually impaired person with each guide training unit, every section there. And what we were told was that when you really are totally blind, that you can't tell how fast you're going.
Nope, that's true.
So, and we forget, you forget that, but you can't tell how fast you're going because you don't have any perception of that because you're not seeing the trees or anything going by. And that you need to kind of remember that a person doesn't necessarily know they're going faster and their reactions have to be different. And, I hadn't ever considered that before.
I remember being really surprised when I went to Norway, and that was the first time I'd skied on waxable skis. I'd always had waxless, and the sound was really different. And so actually I was going faster than I had been on my waxless, but the sound wasn't as loud, so I didn't think I was, and I was much more relaxed. I was really surprised about that.
It's funny how fear of going too fast affects it. I think you guys have been really patient. You've listened to us for over an hour and a half. If there's no more questions, we'll meet again. The snowshoers are going to be training on Saturday, Marie and her husband, and the rest of you will see you on Sunday for, except for you, Maria and which we're going to catch you later. So,
Edie, I have a question. I don't quite understand. What is this weekend versus the first weekend in March?
Okay, the first weekend in March is a 3-day weekend where our skiers stay at the Best Western, and we have dinners at the Glenshire Clubhouse on Saturday and Sunday night. And some skiers are and shoers are with the same guide the whole time. Some will change from one day to the next, but they're up here for all 3 days, and it's all adults. Now we allow children at our 1-day trips, and we only have one. We have a 15-year-old this time on Saturday, but the Saturday trips are just for 1 day. The 3-day people come and commit it for the whole 3 days.
Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Yeah.
And we go by bus from Sacramento.
Yes.
With not everybody, but most people will go by the bus. And then we have that. We have the bus for transportation then when we're up there.
So, yeah.
So you're welcome to come all 3 days or whichever of those 3 days you can come.
But we want you to come all 3 days as guide coordinator. Believe me, the guide situation is pretty tight. We have lost since 2018, we've lost 3 super fantastic guides who could guide anybody. And one just recently who was an elite runner, Sharon Fong, who died in a mountain biking accident a couple months ago. Totally sad, right before her 65th birthday. But she had run a 100-mile run in her 60s. Amazing guide, and died of a massive head injury despite wearing a helmet. So we mourn Sharon and we mourn Tom Gorin, who died last year from cancer, and Matt Stein, who died from some kind of they're not sure, something went wrong neurologically and died suddenly, all very fit people. So we really need some new good guides. And so we're so glad you guys are here.
This Bob, I have a question about the 3-day. What time are people arriving on Saturday?
We're hoping the bus usually arrives between 9:30 and 10. We're hoping at 9:30. But it all depends on the weather. As you know, if the bus has to chain up, and you know the traffic coming up to ski in Truckee the last few weeks, if any of us that live up here know what it's like. So we aim for usually to start at 9:30.
So we'll be skiing Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, actually skiing, not just.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And this is tomorrow, Sunday, you'll be training with teams of experienced guides and Cindy. Everybody's going to get a chance to guide Cindy. And Bob, I know you have to leave early because you have to go to work. So I want to make sure you have plenty of chance to guide Cindy.
Oh, thanks. No, I don't have to work Sunday now.
Oh, you don't have to. So you
No.
can stay for our whole time. That's great.
All right.
And we'll see you all on Sunday. And if you want to come, I think Sharon and Bill, are you guys going to come on Saturday and shadow?
Yes.
You're welcome to come if you want and go out and watch some of our guides guiding.
Yeah, that's the plan.
That's good. I put you down as coming, and you do have Tahoe Donner passes, correct?
Correct.
Okay, because Tahoe Donner, I have to give the ones that have passes, and Tahoe Donner, when they're actually guiding skiers, comps the guides that do not have regular Tahoe Donner passes. So I've got that all written down on the forms. This is our first year using the Google Forms, both for skiers and for we used fillable PDFs before, and I apologize for some little quirks in them, but I designed them, and nothing like that is ever right the first time. So you all got the emails about the shuttles, and you can figure it out. But those of you that ski at Tahoe Donner all the time know what parking is like. And when I saw the shuttle started at 10, I wrote to Sally and said, we can't have people shuttling at 10. They won't be there till 10:30. And we can use as the email that I sent you says, you can use the employee shuttle if you're using the shuttles. And they start at 8:45, I believe, at the lodge by the golf course. So if you can, the parking is probably going to be the hardest thing of Saturday and Sunday. So, and Nancy and Dwayne, thank you for being willing to go ahead and guide on Saturday. I was pretty desperate yesterday as far as the number of guides I had and skiers. So I'm glad you guys are experienced and it looks like you feel confident. So Vicki, are we ready to sign off now? We've kept people for almost 2 hours.
I just want to say thank you to all of you, and snowshoe guides, you'll be with Cindy and another snowshoer named Margie Donovan on Saturday. And I will be with you in spirit. I am so sorry that I won't be there in person meeting you all, but like I said, I will be there in spirit. And I, as a skier, want to say thank you. Thank you to all of you, and have a wonderful weekend.
We will.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Good night.
Thank
you. Night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.